Get your cocktails. About the game script. A huge victory. We get on these streams and we put our heads together. Get your balls, put them on the table. We are live. We are live, and you made it. We found it. We're here. Let's go. It's last call. It's Tuesday. It's Halloween, October 31st. And I couldn't be more excited than to sit down with you guys here at this last opportunity to break the card down and get ready for a banger of an evening. We got 4 sports in play again tonight. You know, we had the sports equinox last night, and we'll talk a little bit and recap how that had played out for us. Some spots more than others were advantageous, but at the end of the day, we ended up even field, slight uptick in units that we'll talk a little bit about here. But tonight, we've got the NHL. We're going to start with the National Hockey League. We've got Major League Baseball, some late breaking news in Major League Baseball. I'm excited to talk about that game as we get into Game 4 tonight down there in Arizona. 2 action games. Can you believe we're already at the point in college football where we've got action? We've got a couple of spots lined up tonight. We've got Northern Illinois versus Central Michigan. We've got the UB Bulls against Toledo out there. And then, of course, the NBA is giving us a little 3-pack. We got a special guest tonight. Our guy, Billy Briz, is coming back to attack and ready to give you guys his looks and spots that he thinks he can attack this card and put cash in our pocket. So lots of things to talk about, lots of things to go over. Of course, we'll start out here and give everybody an opportunity to file in. I appreciate everybody that's early to the party here. Perky Sanderson, there's our guy. Says, at Nasty Nate, Trifecta, what up? Nasty Nate, of course, Mr. Trifecta in the house. Andrew K's out here. The whole crew is piling in. I know some of you guys are just getting out of work. Some of you guys are on your way home. Please do me this favor and hit that like button. Retweet the information, the promos that I put out there on Twitter. Make sure you hit that like on the YouTube video as well. We're trying to crack into this market. You guys, I've said it before. Very much the best in the business here at Pub Sports Radio, giving you guys tons of our actual plays, not just picks, and need your help to spread the word. So I appreciate you guys taking that opportunity. I know we had some new members yesterday. Love to see that stuff here. Love to see more folks going green. Gives us that opportunity to, again, invest in new programming, new shows, new tools to help everybody get more cash in their pockets. Dana Delp says, sup, Monty? Mike's up, Dana Delp. Coins out there. So what up, Mike, and chat? Let's have a day. You guys know the deal here. Please take the opportunity. Share your picks in the chat. I'll do my best to call them out as we go through the show this evening. Again, it's a smaller card for us, so that doesn't mean we back down. That doesn't mean we just find 1 or 2 spots. No, in fact, we dig deeper, we scrub harder, and I think that the success factors go up exponentially when we've got a smaller card, more unique opportunities and ways to spend time on each of those individual spots that are out there. EQ says, last call. You made it, buddy. We're here. We're ready to rock into this thing. You guys know the situation here. We'll start off. We'll do a little recap of kind of how we went out yesterday. And again, it was a 6-6-1 day yesterday on the actual official plays. And then, of course, the leans, another 10-7 day in the leans. I told you guys yesterday, I'm going to start to add and make sure that they're not just leans, that I'm actually getting some unit time on those because they've just been firing off at such a positive rate that I want to make sure we keep cashing and keep stacking when they're out there. If they're, for whatever reason, weren't good enough to make the official plays, but they're still finding a way to cash, and we'll talk about that as well. Not a great night in the NBA. I mean, let's just not going to sugarcoat it out here. Indiana was a loser. The Boston under 230.5 was a loser. Memphis was a loser. Everybody in the world on that Cade Cunningham assist spot. I should have known it. I'm usually better about that, and that was a loser. And, of course, MPJ with his rebound prop was a loser. The 2.5 or the 3 for the Orlando spot. When we were at the show, it was a 3. In the morning, it was a 3. It flopped to 2.5 and then went back to a 3. So depending on the number that you got there at showtime, it should have been a better spot for everybody to at least get that push. Now, on the positive news, we did do very well in the NFL. That first half, I had only a couple of plays out there, but I think every one of them cashed. We got that first half -3.5. And if you guys remember, I talked about the intersecting 0 spots there. We had the 7-0 spot for Detroit, and we had the 0-14 spot. Now it's 4 times in a row that spot's cashed for me with Las Vegas. I went back to look at the notes. We had intersecting zeros, and of course, they made light work of that spot there. Got a little sweaty maybe towards the end, but another primetime game, another under cashes. And that last minute ad, Thank goodness. Finally got a last-minute spot there that I added in the Anaheim Ducks at plus 210. Came through for us. That was a lot of fun game to watch and kind of monitor throughout the progress of the evening. The New York Rangers, super duper sweaty. I cashed another plus 525 live spot in the NHL last night by taking the Rangers. It couldn't have been 5 minutes or so left in the game when that number was out there, and they got through for us. But we ended up getting them at minus 120. That was a victory. The Detroit Red Wings over 6 in that Islanders game. That was sweaty. It didn't look like it was going to get there for us, but it did in the end. We'll take that cash. The Arizona under 6.5 did not get the job done. The parlay, though, the Boston Bruins, Carolina Hurricanes parlay started out sweaty. Both teams ended up starting out down. But it was a plus 145 parlay that we were able to cash with. And then closing the night out, we had the Texas Major League Baseball spot there that came through and cashed for us pretty comfortably. So that brought us to about a quarter, almost a half a unit on the day yesterday. And then if we look at the leans and kind of run down this spot really quick here, T-Wolves, loser. Toronto under 217 was a winner. The New Orleans Pelicans -3, just a bad day in the association. Golden State under 225. We did talk about that though, right? We talked about the Chris Paul factor, and important to kind of reference this and say that 233 number spot is that's the average number that we're getting out there. If we can see that 233 for Golden State, that's going to be some opportunities for us to lock in those unders. If it gets down into those 220s though, we do want to get back and try to take a look at live betting if we can get to that 233 again. Lucas rebound spot got us there. And then how about that Walker Kessler double spot at plus 500? Cash that thing. Joker got the over 8.5 assists for us. Jordan Clarkson did not come through with the 1.5 3-pointers. The Jazz game stayed under the 229.5. Detroit, the NFL football spot there, the -7 cash for us. Jacobs under 62.5 yards was a lean that I had talked about on the show. He ended up with 61. That cash. Laporta was my only touchdown prop. That cashed as well at plus 210. The Detroit first half team total over 13.5 cashed. The Boston Bruins in regulation was a loser. The Vegas Golden Knights lean on the over 6.5 was a loser. Scherzer is a loser. That guy's over 4.5 Ks, did not get the job done. But shout out to our guy LJ from H-Town. There's that Seager over 1.5 bases. That thing came through in commanding fashion for us. So we are now 18.47 units up in the lean category. But we got to find a way to close the gap because we're only sitting at 1.91 positive units on the official card. So we're going to dig in. We're going to dive into this thing here. I see a lot of folks are now funneling in. We're north of 60 people already watching us live. I appreciate everybody taking the time here. I know you're either getting out of work or driving home or you're getting ready for dinner. And it means a lot that you guys are spending your time with me. We've got Eric Rosas is in the house here. He says, you always find those sneaky bets. That's how you succeed in betting sports. You need to take shots and trust your gut. I agree. That's it. That's the differentiator. There's got to find those uniquenesses. When we start talking about everybody being on it, we want to try to stay away. The Sweaty Butcher says, what up, homies? There's Jacqueline. Hello, Jacqueline. How are you? Perky Sanderson says, official play alert. Perky Sanderson does make his plays out there. He set some tickets out there to show and validate it. Official play alert. He says, NIU -3. And for the Billy Friedrich, Ron Burgundy reads everything on the prompter. You know that. Parley, he's got the NIU -6 in the Toledo money line. Eric Rosas says Walker plus 400, Seager plus 300. I'm assuming are some home run dingers. And Londo says, let's cash again tonight. You know it. We're going to dig into this thing. Sancho's out there. Fletcher Berry, Data Delp, Brooklyn Funk Project up in the house. Good to see you dropping in here. He says, hi, Mike. Nice to see you, my guy. Nice to see you. Nice to be seen. Nice to get this cash. Let's get it down and let's get to work. Joey Kryptonite says, yo. Let's get this rolling here. We're on our way. Let's make it happen here. Perky. I'm going to keep my eye on you, Perky. We're going to start off this card here tonight, though. I told you guys we're going to start in the National Hockey League here. Just 2 games tonight, but I like that opportunity even more. I think when we've got a 2-game spot, can really dig in, really drill down and make sure that we get the right looks and leans in this game. And that's exactly where we're going to start out here. The first play for me, we're looking at this Kings-Toronto Maple Leaf spot here. The game is up north in Toronto. It's Talbot in goal for the Kings, and it's Wool in goal for the Maple Leafs. Talbot battling a 3-2-1 in season, and Wool at a 3-1 spot here as well. Cash flow wise, cash flow, 30% of the bets, 41% of the bets on the King 41% of the money on the Kings plus 1.5, 76% of the bets, 79% of the cash on the over. And as far as the money line is concerned, 50% of the bets, 83% of the cash on that king spot here. Talbot battling right now. He's in a 2.72 goals against average, 90.5% save percentage. On the other side of the house here, we've got a battler here. Wall's a competitor, 1.32 goals against average, 96.1% save percentage. Is the man is a walking brick wall out there, and should be a lot of fun to watch this game tonight. It's an 8 o'clock start too, so we're starting a little bit later to get this NHL game on prime time. And that also brings a certain element of excitement to it. You know, the boys get fired up when they're going out there under the lights on the big screen, getting that ESPN national television coverage. Should be a great spot here tonight. My first official play for the card tonight, I got to go to these LA Kings. Look, say what you will about Toronto. First of all, Toronto at home is just not that fierce competitor that they should be, especially as they get later into the season. You know, Toronto's coming off that loss to Nashville. It was a 3-2 loss at Nashville, but Toronto's also got a huge road trip here. They've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games in a row on the road, maybe more. I'm just looking at a short screen here with 5 spots. They're at Florida, at Tampa, at Washington, at Dallas, and at Nashville. Yeah, they lost that last one. I think what we saw was the road, the toll of the road kind of taxing them, putting them in a spot where it was a 3-2 game. They came off of some comfortable victories, but on the flip side of things, the Los Angeles Kings have been battling. They're battling everybody up and down the NHL right now, coming off a homestand against Vegas. They lost that game 4-3. It was a tight battle the entire way, but coming off of those 2 previous games before that, they played the Coyotes. Coyotes are kind of that get your house in order, get everything right and ready to roll situation. They ended up beating the Coyotes in their barn 6-3. Then they went on the road and they had that big comeback that we were on Friday night there to win 5-4. And look, for me, in this opinion, you know, it's a spot where I kind of looked at the first periods and I thought, do I want to try to get the overs? Do I want to try to get the unders? It's a total around 7. I could see the under very much being in play. We've seen last season that when we have 7s, that we start to see those numbers, they either push or fall below at a 65% rate with the 7s. This season, though, we're seeing those numbers go over, and that kind of pushed me away from that total. I do see the numbers have moved from 7 down to 6.5, so it does kind of support this being a lower scoring game. But, you know, again, I'm on the LA Kings. I want that plus money spot, and you'll see that I've got quite a few plus money spots on the card tonight. Another spot that I have here, it's a lean. I'm going to go with a goal scoring prop. I've got a goal scoring prop in this game. I got a goal scoring prop in the next game. Drew Doughty is the guy that I'm going to for the goal scoring prop tonight. He's a plus 650. That's right, plus 650. Why do I like him? He's got goals in back-to-back games. So, as the Kings are stepping up and they needed him. Look, they needed him 2 games ago against the Arizona Coyotes on the road there to come back and win that game. And then they had a big battle with a regional competitor in the Vegas Golden Knights. And he stepped up and shined up for that game as well. He's a defenseman that likes to shoot. He plays on the first power play. He plays on the first regulation line as well. He's leading the team with shots, so he's not afraid to shoot. And when it comes to kind of supporting my thought here with the Kings have the best offense in the NHL right now with 4.38 goals for per game. I like it. I like the Drew Doughty spot at the plus 650 as a lean. I like the LA Kings. Give me that plus money spot here to come into Toronto, kind of get this upset special going here to kick the card off. It's 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that's going to be the first play of the card. We'll keep it rolling here. I see Real Deal Prime says, sup, Brent Cook. Good to see you, Brent Cook. Thanks for coming in. Leafs always let me down. Bet against them, though, and they win. I got some teams like that. I don't know if that's the case here tonight with this spot here. Don Play says, damn, I'm late. What we like tonight, boys. Don Play, you ain't late, Eddie. You're just here. You're ready to roll. It's on time. You couldn't be any more on time here. And we are rolling. We recapped. We talked about this Kings. We talked about the Drew Doughty spot. Next game up on the card here, the second game in the Associated National Hockey League tonight. We've got the Nashville Predators. We've got the Vancouver Canucks. And we've got Lankinen versus Margaret Thatcher Demko in goal right now. And look, not much to say about Lankinen. Beat up and blown out the only time that he's seen, NHL minutes. And then on the other side of things, you have Thatcher Demko, who's playing phenomenally right now. But we talked a little bit about this the other day. Start to dissect the numbers. Yeah, you see that Thatcher Demko's 3-2. And then you break the numbers down and you look at it and see, well, Thatcher Demko's got a 1.9 goals against average and almost a 94 save percentage. But as I looked deeper under the covers, there's a huge shutout win in there against St. Louis. So yeah, that's going to push all your averages up considerably, given the fact that you just came out there and stood on your head. So as you look at these numbers and you look at the splits, 87% of the bets, 89% of the cash on this under, kind of thinking that, hey, we see the Canucks games, we see the Predators games, they're tightly contested opportunities here. 57% of the bets, 87% of the money on the Canucks money line. And I kind of think that's just a little bit crazy as a jumping off point here. As I kind of looked at these numbers, I see that the Canucks money has moved from minus 142. There's now minus 145s out there. So couple of cents of movement of concern from the book side of things, but I don't think that's too irregular. That 145 number seems to kind of be where that, moderately played home favorite should fall into play. But as I started looking at this game, a couple of things that jumped off the page at me. First of all, this series is an over series. These two teams have gone over when they play. Let me see if I can find my number here. Going back to 2017, when these two teams play head to head, it's 12-4 to the over. So, despite the steam coming in on that under and people thinking that this game could be an under spot, the history shows that these two teams play with some competitive hockey. Also, they did just play a week ago, and that game was a 3-2 final. So up until last week, literally a week ago, that trend was 12-3 to the over. Now we've got an under in there, and they're now coming back to head 1 week later. I expect there to be goals in this game. A lot of folks that I trust and believe in out there were looking at this thing saying the under 6 makes a lot of sense. I kind of go to the other side of here. I lean to this over. 6 is an official play for me, an official lean at the over 6 minus 107. With all this cash coming in on the under, why are they moving it to 6.5? Doesn't make a lot of sense. But I do have some official plays in here. Roman Josi, over 3.5 shots on goal. This guy's leading the team. He's kind of like that Drew Doughty spot that I just talked about. He's leading the team in shots on goal. He's averaging right around that 4 number. So we're getting a season average at 3.5 at plus 110. It's plus money spot. Absolutely sign me up for that opportunity. I expect there to be shots on goal. I expect them to be fighting hard and battling, trying to come back. Again, knowing that they've got this revenge in mind. They need to shoot often. They need to get the puck on the net. And I think this shooting defenseman is going to lead the charge for us. I like playing, personally, the shot on goal props with the defensemen that are kind of the quarterbacks out there. And when I say the quarterbacks, I mean, if you think about the way that hockey gets played, you want to shoot this puck, you want to funnel that traffic to the front of the net, and then it kind of curls around the outsides, and that defenseman, Roman Josi, in this case, is the guy that's going to be catching that puck, waiting for everybody to get in front for screens and then taking those shots. Wouldn't be mad at anybody that wanted to try to take a look at his shots on goal prop. But a spot that I did like in here is I looked at this, both teams to score in the first period. I think this is the first time I'll have played this all year. We're 3 weeks deep into the NHL season, but why did I get there? How did I get there? Well, first and foremost, as I broke down some of these tables that I have available to me, the Vancouver spot in terms of a goal in the first 10 minutes is 3-3 at home. The Nashville team, a goal in the first 10 minutes is 2-3 when they're on the road. So couple that with the fact that the first period in Vancouver games have gone over 6 out of 8 times they've played this season. I expect there to be goals. Again, it's that revenge-oriented spot here where these teams are comfortable with each other, having just played a week ago. And, when I looked at these numbers and how did I arrive at the both teams to score? Well, the first period over 1.5 is available at minus 125. Can't be mad at anybody that wants to go that direction. The goal in the first 10 minutes is a minus 148. Again, it's juicy. Can't be mad at anybody that wants to go in that direction either. But then when I saw the both teams to score in the first period at plus 174, that kind of got me really excited and saying, you know what, if I'm going to take a shot in this game particularly, there's a lot of other action going on tonight. Let me have that risk reward or that return on my investment. And that plus 174 prop for both teams to score. We see that goals are flying in the early half of this first period. Your call if you wanted to kind of be a little bit more on this, I don't want to say the safe side, but that first period over 1.5 makes a lot of sense, but I'm going to take my opportunity with that risk reward and go for those both teams to score at plus 174. Also, got a little goal prop for you guys here as well. It's a lean for me. It's a Philip Tomasino goal prop at plus 450. How did I get there? The guy's got success against Vancouver. He's got goals in 3 out of the 4 games they played against Vancouver. I expect this to be a scoring opportunity tonight. I think there are going to be a lot of chances to get some guys in there, and this guy's got that comfort. I kind of look at the same rules that I try, or the same attributes that I apply to the RBI and hitting props, come down to when they're comfortable, when they're in this barn, when they travel, when they like the city, they like the food, or they just get themselves comfortable with the ice and the sight lines and the way that this team plays, knowing that they need to step up and be competitive, they're going to lean on a guy that has that confidence. Confidence breeds confidence and success. And I think Tomasino is a great spot at plus 450. If you're going to put your money on a goal prop tonight in that game, why not sprinkle a little bit there and have a little fun tracking and watching as we go? We're rolling. We got over 80 people in this chat now as well. You guys can see kind of the breakdown on this game here across the top. There's that both teams to score. First period at plus 174. That was on DK for me. Keep that in mind as you're shopping around. I see the Cheshire Cat says, let's go. I like that. All right, let's go. Earl Sportsbet likes that under 6. Of course he does. Don't like that Nashville went with Lankinen. We'll stick it out, though. Yeah, I think that goaltending factor was certainly a spot that I liked in there. I know, Thatcher Demko's been, I just talked about it, phenomenal. But, that under 6 at first glance makes a lot of sense as I kind of peel the covers back. We got the other direction there. Roman Yossi shots on goal. EQ likes that spot. I think that's going to be a good spot for us tonight. AOD says, Mike, we love you. Let's roll. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for the kind words. Thanks to everybody for being out there in the chat, guys. Make sure that you please hit that like button. Subscribe to the channel, put the notifications on so that you can see when Last Call goes live. Become a member if you haven't already. And Fletcher Berry says, what's that BTTS for? Oh, yeah. Both teams to score. Both teams to score in that first period. So shop around. That number is going to vary depending on the book. Again, it was a DK spot for me. Both teams to score. We're going to press onward. We're rolling. I promised our guy that we would get to NBA here around 6:30 on the dot. So we're going to move on to the next spot here. It's that little thing called the World Series. Maybe you heard of it. Maybe you're like me and it's like, all right, I'm ready for baseball to go away, but it's been so profitable this season and in the postseason, literally up over 30 units in the postseason. Just in the last couple of weeks alone has been fantastic. Let's get the rest of this cash out of this thing while we can. Big news, breaking news, late breaking news. Dallas Garcia out of the game. Now, I know I was talking to T, and shout out to T on the 1s and 2s back there before the game. Or before the stream here, we were talking about how he could be available in that designated hitter category, but out of the lineup tonight. I don't know, man. I don't want to digress here and get sidetracked, but it's the fucking World Series, game number 4. You need a mental health day? I mean, come on, dude. Get the needle, get in there, swing that fucking bat, and do your best for your team to get out there and win the game. I get passionate about that because it's not like, you got a week left. Maybe you got 3 games at most left, and just a bad character, bad leadership spot for me. Now, you could have a back injury that's maybe more compound than I'm aware of, but put the needle in, dude. Let's go. Whatever you got to do to get yourself ready. I just get angry about that. But we're at Chase Field. We've got slight wind, 8 miles an hour in wind. It looks like favorable conditions for hitting. As we look at the splits on this game, let me pop it over because I put these numbers together, again, a couple hours in advance. T and I get this stuff put down. And then you'll start to see as I look at the current numbers here, this is what this show's all about, that late movement. So, although you'll see numbers on the screen, the current numbers, you've got the Arizona Diamondbacks in a -1.5 spot at plus 175. But there's also plus 1.5s out there. And it looks to me like the bets, 84% of the bets are on the plus 1.5, 62% of the cash on the plus 1.5. And then, of course, they're kind of shading it the other way there with that -1.5 number. It looks like a little book trickery when it comes to trying to read that spot. But as I look at this Diamondback spot and the money line, it opened at -105, 65% of the bets, 73% of the cash on them Diamondbacks. And they're a -112 now. So we've got about 7 cents of movement. I don't think it's entirely late movement because as I put this together, we were sitting around -110. It's only moved 2 more cents since they've announced the Garcia news being out. So I'm not entirely sold that it's Garcia that moved that number like that. I think it's really just a function of the betting public coming in and Vegas showing concern that this could be a Diamondback spot. Now, Andrew Heaney, we know what Texas has done on the road, but Andrew Heaney's a bum. He's just a bum. And to me, you want to put your money on that guy, more power to you, but I'm not going to do that. Now the total jumps out at me as well. We got 53% of the bets, 59% of the cash on the under, and we are seeing it move down. So as much as I say he's a bum, they are expecting it to be, it looks like a lower scoring game. Mantiply on the other side for the Diamondbacks. Crazy numbers here. You got Heaney with a 6.0 ERA. You got Mantiply with a 4.26 ERA. We know that the Diamondbacks are playing very well at home, and we know that the Rangers are playing very well on the road. So real tricky spot. I expect this series to continue. Kind of that zigzag theory as we roll along here. Minus 110. Let me just see if there's still minus 110s out there. I want to make sure I give you guys official crisp numbers. Nope, minus 112 is the lowest number that's available right now. We'll call it minus 112. It's fine. It's 2 cents of movement. Doesn't bother me one bit or way, shape, or form. I also have a couple looks for you guys. Look, it's been a great season when it comes to the RBIs. And, as of late with some home run spots and some bases and some things that kind of stretch my comfort zone. But I wanted to go back to this guy here. Again, I just talked about it in hockey. It's the consistency factor that's out there. And this young man, this first-year guy, Alec Thomas, is leading the organization in home runs in the postseason right now. He's got 4 of them. He's got 2 homers in his last 3 games. I like the double dip spot here. I like the Thomas RBI at plus 260. I like his home run. It says plus 1,000. I just looked as I parlayed it together with something. It's plus 1060 now. So on FanDuel, there's a 1060 home run spot for Alec Thomas. The guy is clearly their go-to guy in this postseason right now when it comes to the home run success and the ability to go yardstick. So, risk, reward, opportunity, and return. I think those are 2 really good spots when you look at this game. I like both the RBI and the home run spot. My secret there for the success has been a full unit on the RBI, a half unit on the home run. Play it how you will. I think that's how I'm going to get to the bag with this thing as well, as that 1.5. So 1 unit on the RBI, half unit on the home run. And I like where he's sitting in the order. I don't normally get to a spot where you've got a guy that's kind of beyond that 4 spot in the order. But I just think as a function of the guys that are going to be on base in front of him, he's got way too much talent in front of him not to get there. I think he's hitting, let me just double check. Yeah, he's down in the 7th spot. Not a huge fan of that. But obviously, Marte, Caro, Moreno, Walker, Pham, Gurriel, they're all guys they've seen Andrew Heaney before. They've all gotten on base considerable amount of times where they've seen him before. Corbin Carroll's the only guy that's got 1 look at him, and he's got success with him. One look, 1 hit, 1 RBI. I like Thomas down there in the 7th spot. And I think it's going to be a great spot for that return for the guy that's been kind of carrying the banner for him here. Yeah, we've heard about Corbin Carroll. Yeah, we've heard about Christian Walker. But give me Alec Thomas. I think it's a good spot for him tonight to get the job done. One more spot, then we're going to roll into the NBA. First and foremost, I see Rod C says Mitch Garver hits a home run. I can't be mad at that, especially knowing that Garcia's out of the lineup here. I think somebody's got to step up for him, or it's going to be a tough game for him here. So Wine Time Sports says, "What's up, Mikey? What up?" EQ says, rib eye, RBI, rib eye. Andrew K, you got this coin. Londo says, I played over 3.5 hits on Heaney at plus 125. Should be interesting to see what Heaney does tonight. So it's do or die. Clearly, they got to step it up and get it rolling here. And I think, again, the zigzag factor makes a lot of sense for me. So let's keep it rolling, guys. I want to talk about 2 college football spots. Then we're going to spend time on this 3-game NBA card. I know our guy Billy Briss is in the background waiting and ready to kick some ass and take some names. So we don't want to get in the way of that. We want to make sure that we capitalize. Look, there's 2 games now. Maction is in play. We've got NIU versus Central Michigan, and I'll get into the numbers here in just a second as I transition over. As far as the elements are concerned, though, it's MAC, right? It's the Maction time. It's Great Lakes region. Look, it's cold. It's not really windy, but there is precipitation. The Northern Illinois game, they're calling for a slight chance of snow. A little less than 5 miles an hour wind, but by the fourth quarter, it's going to drop about 5 to 7 degrees. Also, the wind's going to pick up by about 2 to 3 miles an hour. So why is that important? Because it's going to be certainly applicable when it comes to live betting, right? We're going to start looking at not seeing necessarily points in that fourth quarter of this game. Maybe there's going to be some opportunities after that last score in that third quarter to consider betting that live spot, maybe under, when you start thinking about this game as a whole. Now, the spot that I'm officially locked in on is going to be that over 46.5. I'll make sure to tell you guys why. Let's talk about the cash flow here. We opened up at minus 1.5. We've got minus 5.5 now in some spots, 6.5 in other spots. 80% of the bets, 83% of the cash. My suspicion is this is just a spot where this line has now officially moved too much. We'll talk a little bit more about that in a second. The total opened at 45.5, 73% of the bets, 55% of the cash on the under. But now we're seeing it's even out there. There are still 46.5s out there, but there's 48.5s out there as well. So despite the fact that the money's coming in on the under, they're still moving it up that ladder. They're putting more points on the board. I think the books are concerned that they're going to get exposed on this over tonight. The money line itself on NIU, it opened at minus 110. I don't know when that opened up. That must have been like an early look ahead spot because it is now minus 225, 89% of the bets and 93% of the cash. Let's talk about these two teams. Really, two teams that are heading in I don't want to say completely different directions, but NIU's coming off a 3-game win streak. They need to win this game to keep in pace with Toledo. They're 1 game behind Toledo, and if they lose this game, it's going to impact their ability to play in the MAC championship. NIU feels like it's one of those teams that's like there every year. So I think it's a very important spot for them, clearly. It's also an important spot for Central Michigan. They just came off that Ball State loss. They're now 2 games behind, but what's on the line for Central Michigan is bowl game factors. We know that's super important for these teams in college football because it gives them an opportunity to take the next step in their program. They get extra funding. They get extra time to practice. They get an extra 3 to 4 weeks, depending on when those games are, to practice and get the team and the nucleus down and work on the things that they're trying to finish off for that year and move into this next season. So just because they're going to play in a scrub bowl game in the second week of December doesn't mean it's not important to the organization as a whole to keep things moving. So we'll bear that in mind. You look at these teams and how they kind of break it down. NIU, they're more of a run-oriented team. Ontario Brown is the guy that's, the running, kind of the key to the run game out there. He's averaging 5.9 carries, yards per carry, but break the numbers down. There's 1 game in that sample where he had 280 yards on 13 carries. That was against Akron. So 5.9 looks good on paper. As you start to peel the covers back a little bit, though, you'll see that there are some asterisks around that. What happens here is, they struggle when it comes to playing good teams on the ground. They're not able to get those yards out there. And that's why, even though it's bloated at 5.9, let's call it more around a 3.5 if we take out that exception with that big game. Now, the thing is, Central Michigan's not good. They're not good at stopping the run. They're 119th in stuff rate on the line. Their defensive line average is 118th. So not a good team in Central Michigan when it comes to being able to shut that run down. And NIU should be able to advance and keep the chains moving. Challenge, though, Rocky Lombardi, you guys have heard the name. I think he's got one of the better college names in the business. He's not having a good year either. So it's really just a bad spot, I think, for NIU. And this is where I kind of talked about, has that number moved too far? At 6.5, almost a touchdown. You got a team that's not really running the ball very great. And you got a team that can't really move the ball through the air that effectively with Rocky Lombardi, although he is in a rookie season. He's just struggling to get the job done. The challenge is NIU's defense is bad too. So you kind of got a bad offensive team, albeit they're still competitive. It just goes to show you what the MAC does and how they kind of stack up against the rest of the country. We got a team that struggles against the pass in NIU's defense as well. On the flip side of things, Central Michigan, they got this Bauer kid at quarterback, and he struggles. He's only averaging 6.2 attempts or yards per attempt out there. He's got 9 turnovers on the season. And the number that jumped out to me, they got 146 quarterbacks that they've measured with a minimum of 100 attempts to register some of these stack rankings, right? 146 quarterbacks in college football. This kid ranks 116th in yards, 109th in completions, clearly the bottom third of the league. Not a spot you want to be, but ultimately what I did get there with here is away favorites, okay? Away favorites in the MAC during the week when the total's not over 65 points, right? So this is very much MACtion. Tuesday and Wednesday MACtion factors, away favorites. What do? They're 74-30 straight up. Clearly, that we talked about that cash flow spot at minus 225. They're 55-45 against the spread. But check this total out, 59-39 to the over. It's going over by almost 5 points. I broke this trend down. I looked at the last 3 games. The last 3 games in this trend that's got a 59-39 success rate have gone under. So we've got 3 unders in a row. I like regressing back to the overall trend and the success of that trend in the over. I went with the CMU spot at over 46.5. I know I talked about NIU and they stink. And I talked about Central Michigan and they stink. But stink beats stink. Maybe we see points here, and I feel comfortable enough with that 46.5. It's a lower number, and then seeing the cash flow and how that's manipulating the market to me said this is an over spot. I like that CMU as a lean at plus 6.5, but the official play for me is the over 46.5. Second game on the docket. We'll move quickly. We'll get to the NBA, and we'll get you guys out of here with time to get these bets cashed or posted. We got Buffalo. The Buffalo Bulls playing Toledo. I just talked about Toledo leading the MAC West and trying to keep their position and their foot on the gas tonight. Again, Great Lakes weather, 34 degrees, 7 miles an hour. Instead of the snow like we talked about in that last game for NIU, it's rain. Same situation. It's going to drop about 5 to 7 degrees as the game goes on and we get towards that fourth quarter. So bear that in mind that the wind's going to pick up and the conditions are going to get a little colder and a little worse in that fourth quarter of this game, which very much I think will affect the live betting totals. But as far as the numbers are concerned, 49% of the bets, 72% of the cash on the UB Bulls. The number has moved from 13.5 to 15.5, however, with 49% of the bets and 72% of the cash. The total on the other side, excuse me, the total opened at 51.5. 59% of the bets, 71% of the cash are on that under, and we've seen it drop 2 points. So Toledo, if you remember last year in the MAC, yeah, they were a high-flying over team. They were scoring points all over the place, and Buffalo kind of, plays to the level of their competition. But in this case here, I locked in the under. I got the Toledo under 50. Let me make sure that's still out there. I don't want to. If we got to take 49.5, it's not going to change my number. It's just going to be a different number that I want to make sure that I record as official. Okay, 49.5 is out there now. So 49.5 is the official number that we'll use here. Just keeping it tight and right. Want to be legit with this thing here as we talk about this record. Under 49.5 is an official play for me. Big number I measured from last year in the MAC. When we had the weekday MACtion plays, again, weekday specific MACtion, when the line is greater than 7, right? So in this case here, we've got Buffalo and Buffalo sitting on a 15.5. When the line's greater than 7, those teams that were the dog in those spots are 7-0 against the spread, 6-1 straight up. The 7-0 spread number, they're covering by almost 14 points, 13.57 points. I think Buffalo's alive today. In that same trend bucket, though, the under 1-6 to the under in that 7-game sample going under by a touchdown. Give me that tutty. Give me that 49.5 on that under spot. Another official lean that I have for you guys in this here is I went with the Buffalo first half plus 8.5. It's only a lean for me because the number started out at 9.5, and by the time I got there, it's just a little less than I want it to be. I'm hoping that Toledo gets the ball first. They come down and they score a touchdown. Even though that's going to compromise the number for my under, it's going to give me an opportunity to try to get on that Buffalo first half around 10 or 10.5. Why do I like that number? Because if you look at MACtion programs, again, MACtion specifically referencing Tuesday and Wednesday games, that's MACtion as we're talking about it here. In the first half, home teams in MACtion are 24-40 against the spread over the last 64 times they've played. I want to say that number goes back to, let me see here, 2019. Goes all the way back to 2019. So over the last 4 years, first half MAC schools, the home team there is not getting the job done. Buffalo getting that 8.5, so nice lean. And, ultimately, I just think about the way this team runs. Like, Buffalo can run the ball in the middle, and that's kind of where Toledo's got their weakness, where they're probably most vulnerable is kind of that inside zone rush. And if Buffalo's going to be competitive, they know they got to hit that early and they got to hit it often. The other number I wanted to talk about out there is this season thus far for Toledo. They've only covered 2 first halves this entire season. So not playing well to start the game off. They kind of separate themselves. The cream kind of rises to the top as the game advances and goes on. But the more I talk about it, you know what? The more I'm going to lock it in. I'm going to actually add an official play. I'm going to take that official from a lean to an official. Give me that Buffalo. I talked myself into it. That's what just happened there. You saw it here first. I talked myself out of it, into it, out of it, and now back into it. Also, another spot that I like here was the teaser. It's an official lean for me. Buffalo, 21 points. The under, 56 points. A lot of points out there. 21 I feel comfortable with. It's that total that kind of gives me pause or concern. But again, I'm on the under 49.5 now. I just officially locked in that Buffalo first half plus 8.5 as well. That's going to bring us through college football. I'm a few minutes late for our guy, Billy Briz, but I want to bring him on here. You guys know he came out last week, first guest spot for the last call, breaking down the NBA. I asked him today if he wanted to get on. He said, I like today's card. Let's go. Let's do it. So without further ado, let's bring our guy, Billy Briz, on. Billy, what's up, my guy? You're muted. There he is.
What up, mofos? It's Halloween. I'm ready for tonight's slate. Tonight's slate is a short NBA card, but it's a nice little juicy card. Let's get straight to the money.
Yeah, man. So let's first and foremost, the elephant in the room, get him out of town, get James Harden and send his ass over to Clipper country, baby. If you got a bad attitude, you don't want to be here, we don't want you here. So see ya. Beat it. And what a steal, man. What a haul. They get rid of Harden. They got to go PJ Tucker, Petrosev, right? But they pick up Covington, Adam, Morris, Kenyon Martin, 5 draft picks, 3 first-rounders, baby. It's Sixers season, and we are in business for the next couple of years with that trade, too. So I'm excited about that move, Billy. I don't know how you feel about it, but I know as a Sixers guy, you got to have some kind of inclination on it. What do you think?
I ain't no Sixers fan, baby.
Oh,
It's
no.
Wemby season out here, man. It's South Pal
Oh, no.
101. It's Spurs Nation. I said I was no longer a Sixer fan after the playoff that we had last year because I think personally, I have a different opinion. I think the Clippers fleeced the Sixers out of that one. We got literally nothing out of that. We didn't even get Terrence Mann or anybody. Like KJ Martin, good player, but as I digress.
They had to get something done though. I mean, at that point, they were where they were. They the guys showing up to the airport talking about the owner being a liar. You can't have that cancerous growth going through your organization. And if you want to go somewhere else, then go. So everywhere he goes, he's going to want to go somewhere else. So we'll see what he does out there in Clipper country. I actually do like that the Clippers, with that pickup there, they're going to be a formidable competitor. I don't know how that's going to play into part tonight, but let's get into these games, Billy. So we're going to start off here. I'll pull up the game here. We'll talk a little bit about the game and the matchup, the splits, and then we'll hear what you got for us. Let's hear the business here. We're going to start off with this Knicks Cavaliers game. The line opened at +1. It's now a dog to a favorite. So we've got 65% of the bet, 66% of the cash on the Knicks side of the house. The line opened at 216. It's down to 214.5 and 214 in some places. 39% of the bets, 85% of the cash on the under, pushing that number down. And we see the Knicks. The Knicks opened up at -110. It was pretty much a coin flip. Both teams were -110. They're now -115. 78% New York Knicks side of the house. And I think it's continuing to creep that direction here. We're starting to see some couple of last minute movements here as well. Big sample, 140,000 tickets inside of this thing as well. Billy, first game on the card. What's your thoughts, my guy?
Out of the 3 games on the card, this is my least favorite one on the whole entire board. We have the 214.5 total, which does seem the lowest on the slate. Despite these two teams being faster in pace, we got a little bit of injury news for this one. Karis LeVert is going to be out for this one. Darius Garland is out for this one. Jared Allen is out for this one. So we're going to see Donovan Mitchell and the person that leads the NBA in minutes right now. We got Max Strus out here. He's chucking up some shots. The things that I like in this game, the books don't have. Things I would bet in this game would be like Max Strus over on his points prop, over on his 3-point prop and stuff like that. But the bookies aren't offering that one. They're giving us Isaac Okoro props and Donovan Mitchell juiced at 32.5 points props. It's just like, fuck, man. I mean, if anything, I'm going to have to lean towards the under on some of these star stud players. If there was one stud player that I would want to attack on the point prop, it would probably be Julius Randle, but he's up at 20.5. That seems a little bit too high. Honestly, I think you would dolphin dive a little bit here and maybe get a little bit greasy with a Josh Hart, 6.5 points, +104. That seems a little bit too low. This is a playoff rematch. But the main reason why I don't like this game is that these two teams play together I think it's Wednesday or Thursday. They play in New York. So this is a first end of basically a back-to-back meeting between these two teams. So I'm not a big fan of betting on this type of spot because I don't have an edge over the bookies. The bookies have the edge. They know the injury report. We don't.
See, so with that kind of thought process there, I'm glad you brought that up because it is that first look of really almost that back-to-back spot. Two teams that are just kind of reeling here, right? They're not really performing on either side of things. But I thought that the injury factor was going to be a little too much for the Cavaliers to overcome, at least early. So my play was the Knicks first half -1.5 in this thing. Specifically because I think as the game advances, as we move through the numbers, can we see the Cavaliers tinker with things and get it right once they kind of figure out now who they actually have as their core? Yeah, I think that's the opportunity. But with the cash and where it's coming off here, I like the Knicks to at least start strong. And then maybe they take their foot off the gas as they don't want to show too much for that next game that they have coming up as well. So I'm with you. I didn't really like the game as a whole. I didn't really see any props that jumped out at me. You know, the Robinson over 9.5 probably. Why is 9.5 a lean for me and not an official play? Because he screwed me on a double-double last week. And, screw me once, shame on you. Screw me twice, shame on me. And I'm not going to take it again. So I got the lean in there with Robinson. I like his rebound number. It was there were some 8.5s out there early today as well. But I'm just not going to get there as an official play. The official for me is that Knicks first half -1.5. Just again, I think it's a quick start. And then maybe they start to regress a little bit. But I know the game you want to talk about here. I got you. I see what's going on here. It's the big showdown for you. We've got, what time is this one here? At 10 p.m. start here on the East Coast. It's the Spurs and the Suns. We got a +8, now +7. Money coming in on them Spurs. 48% of the cash, 53% of the bets have moved that number down 1.5 points in some spots. The total is something to be concerned with here. The 70% of the bets, 83% of the cash on this under. It's gone from 232 to 226.5. And then you look at the money line, huge drop on the money line as well. -345 for the Suns, now -270, 71% of the bets, 57% of the cash. I know you talked about it that last game. Let me see if I can't find it here as well. Injuries, right? And I don't know that this is so much. I mean, it's Booker and Beal, again, the two guys that are out when it comes to the Sun side of things. And they kind of been out, it feels like all season.
Year.
And so, as much as it's a deal, I think it opens up playing spots in areas that we like to get involved with when it comes to props. Damian Lee, he's got a knee injury as well. When you look at the Spurs side of things, Spurs look pretty healthy. They look pretty good to go. I mean, for the most part, they got their boys out there. I like a couple of the guys on the squad here. I know you guys are all Wemby fans, so we'll get into it. But the one spot I want to share that I have is an official play for me. I did a same game parlay, so it's an official spot for me. It's the Suns. I've got the Suns down to -3.5. I'm nervous because I want to hear what Billy has to say, and I hope he's not going to go against me on some of these spots. But I took the Suns down to -3.5, kind of like a teaser number. I got the Kevin Durant over 0.5 3, so he just needs 1 3-pointer. He's gotten at least one every single game this season. And then I got the Nurkic over 8+ rebounds, and that same game parlay is a +135 spot. You can see there on the screen. I had a couple other spots I looked at there. No Booker, no Beal. We're seeing KD step up and get the job done. And why did I want to take that number down on the Suns? Because for me, as I looked at the Suns, I just kind of thought, I guess specifically the Spurs, they can score a lot of points and lose. They can score a few points and win. It just kind of felt like here's a spot where I don't know what we see on the total, but I wanted to get that Suns down to a reasonable number. But that being said, Billy, I want to hear your thoughts here. Don't let my same game parlay cloud your focus. Let's hear what you got for us. Let's give us these winners, my guy.
Yeah, man, I got a different opinion than the public on this one. I think everybody has this penciled in as a foregone conclusion that the Suns are winning this game, but digging deeper into both rosters, I don't think the Spurs are outmatched in this one. Maybe a little bit of star power with KD, but I think the Spurs match up particularly well with the Suns team that they're deploying tonight. I mean, yeah, they lived up to expectations so far, despite stars Beal and Booker not playing. But it is a weird scheduling spot where we have the Spurs that play 2 consecutive games in Phoenix. Kind of different from the last spot. We have 1 game in Cleveland and the next game in New York. This spot is the Spurs play in Phoenix tonight, and then they play in Phoenix again on Thursday. And I feel like the Suns could be underestimating a young, hungry Spurs squad who just got blown out in their first road game. The Suns are 9-0 head-to-head, winning by double digits in 4 out of their last 5 matchups head-to-head. And the Suns' defensive numbers seem to regress in the early part of the season. They're second best defensive rating team in the league. They held all 3 opponents under 104, and they're 7th in rebounding percentage. But I think both teams are going to live and die off the shot, and I think the Spurs are going to backdoor cover this line. Another thing to factor in for some of these big teams and why we're seeing some of these studs kind of sitting out the early part of the season is because the NBA has the new tournament format, and that system starts up next Tuesday and Thursday. So some of these players are kind of looking forward over to that tournament and stuff like that. The league is really trying to push that. But I'll tell you, the one thing that the Spurs are definitely trying to push is consistently playing good basketball. And the way they got blown out on that Sunday game, I think Pop and the boys are going to have a much better rotation to go here in Phoenix. And I think it's kind of the reverse. I think the Spurs cover this backdoor line at 7, and then they get blown out on Thursday when the Suns are like, all right, maybe the Spurs aren't the Spurs that we thought of in years past. But I actually have some player props on this one. Victor Wembanyama played this one early, 15+ points, -155 at FanDuel Sportsbook, going up to 175. You can get to 16.5 at -106. Don't mind the points for rebounds at the number that is. But Wemby has up and down numbers due to foul trouble and just a little bit of inexperience. But regardless, he's still dominating the team in usage rating. And he showed us versus Houston, 30 minutes, 21 points, 12 rebounds, 3 blocks, 3 steals. And while the Suns have posted good defensive numbers early on in the season, they're still giving up a lot of points in the paint. And especially to the power forward position, they're allowing the 6th most points per game in the league to the power forward position and the fourth most rebounds per game to the power forward position. And the pace of play on this game total is the highest on the slate. So out of all the games on the card, this one is the one that's projected to go over just off the pace of play. That leads me into the second play. Eric Gordon over 18.5 points and assists at -125 FanDuel Sportsbook. Got early on that one. Gordon has been the starting point guard. He's responded well in this role. He's coming off a 21-point first half in the last one against the Utah Jazz over the weekend. He's got the hot hand, and I expect this to continue. The Spurs and the Suns, 4th and 11th for fastest pace in the NBA. Guards versus the Spurs this year: Kyrie Irving, 22 points. Fred VanVleet, 24 points. Jalen Green, 22 points. Russell Westbrook went over his point prop as well of 19 points. So every every point guard against the Spurs has gone over the point prop very significantly. And Eric Gordon's going to be the second highest team in the usage rating. So that should open up more assist opportunities. Coming off of 4 assists in the last one. So even if he doesn't go over the 16.5 point prop at -108, I think he's going to get the job done with the assist as well. We saw in the last one, KD led the team in potential assists, and Eric Gordon was second in the team in potential assists. But this is the fantasy goodness game. I think this is the best game to cap on the card.
So you got the Gordon over 16.5 at -108?
No, I got 18.5 points and assist at -125, but that correlates with his assist prop at 2.5 at -136. I think he goes over. I think he goes significantly over the assist prop, but I want to be netted in with a little bit of safety because of the points.
I like, the numbers you said there, again, especially against kind of common setup, right? Or not common opponents, but in terms of the matchups, right? And the size advantages or disadvantages. I like that. I think I'm going to tell you on that one. Good news is we got plenty of time to go for it. So I like it. Anything? So you got the Wemby 15 plus at -155 and the Gordon points and assist at -125.
Yep. And then we're rocking with the Spurs +7. Couldn't get that coveted half point, but I'm feel fine with the +7 with the points here. I really wanted to, I guess we can move on to the next game here is the Orlando Magic versus the Los Angeles Clippers. We got National Magic Day, and it seems like a lot of people are coming in here late on the Magic, and I have a little bit of concerns about this game because if you look at the trades that the Clippers made and then you look at their projected starting lineup, it's like, fuck, man, these starting 5 are going to have to play. And then who's coming off the bench? Bones Highland, right. Amir Coffey. Well, Amir Coffey just got arrested for misdemeanor gun charge like a week ago. So maybe he might be in the doghouse for this one. I think the Stars are going to have to play a lot of minutes in this one. And it seems a little bit different because we're used to Paul George and Kawhi Leonard kind of really having their minutes limited on these first halves of back-to-backs. But they play the Los Angeles Clippers in the same exact arena, so typically it's kind of like a home game. So we might see some high minutes here for the Los Angeles Clippers. And then on the other side, we have the Orlando Magic. They're playing on the second half of the back-to-back, and they had a really close game against the Lakers last night. They covered the early line, and I think – one person that's due to digress is a former Sixer here, Markelle Fultz. I'm betting his under 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists here at -125. He was a key contributor in the Magic's efforts close win last night against the ATS day one, but 14 points, 4 rebounds, 8 assists in 33 minutes while he soared over his PRA line. He's deciding to play in the second half of back-to-backs because there's no travel involved. But regardless, I could see his minutes being limited because all of last year he sat on the second halves of back-to-backs. I could see him projected around 25 minutes in this one in my eyes. And after scoring, I feel like all those points last night, he was running around, throwing the ball. This seems like more of the Cole Anthony spot. Cole Anthony started off the year with a 20-point game and a 12-point game in his first couple of games, and he's only played 21 minutes last night versus the Lakers. So if you look at the point guard rotation, I think they're going to close with Cole Anthony and Jalen Suggs in the backcourt over Markelle Fultz. That's my hot take for this one. We're betting the under points, rebounds, and assists for Markelle Fultz. And then the greasy one, got to come in with the chalk play of the day. Franz Wagner over 1.5 3-pointers. This dude's 3-point attempts have gone up substantially this year to 7.7 3-point attempts per game. He is chucking them and ducking them, and he's gone over his 3-point prop in every one of his games this year so far. And if you think about it from just a real life basketball perspective, are you driving the fucking lane against Paul George and Kawhi Leonard, or are you pulling up and shooting the three? I bet you Franz Wagner is pulling up and shooting the three over driving the lane. This was a game that you do need to have circled, though, because we don't have a little bit of the injury news reports for Norman Powell, who's a big part, 6-man for the Clippers here, and Ivica Zubac, who has a thigh contusion. He could possibly be rested tonight. And if he's rested tonight, oh my God, fire me up the Plumlee props. It's going to be a Plumlee season. But I think this is a sneaky under the radar. The game, I think, projects to go under, but people have to play a certain amount of minutes in an NBA basketball game, and those minutes are coming from the star-studded players. So I think this is a good projection for Kawhi Leonard, Paul George. If you're playing daily fantasy, that's a sneaky way. I'm going with the Clippers, but National Magic Day, don't blame me if you want to bet the Magic here. But man, this is a fucking tough one. I like the player props in this one, and under Markelle Fultz, over Wagner threes. But man, God bless you.
What was the juice? What was the juice on the threes?
Juice on the threes is minus 175 across the industry. Matter if you went to Barstool, FanDuel, couldn't get a better number.
All right, cool. Yeah, general rule of thumb for me, when you got a big trade like that just took place, you got to let it go for a day or two and let them figure out what the hell's going on. You got guys in travel, you got guys in flux. There was probably some, just basic, think about the basic human elements of things, right? You probably got some friends in the locker room that got traded away, and now you're a little uncertain about your role and how you're going to fit in. And I was also big last night on the Orlando Magic side of things with that three as a push against the Lakers, but I liked them. I thought it was a good spot coming off that Portland game where they had, the Portland to LA travel. Okay, it's travel, but they also had rest advantage against the Lakers. Now you got the Clippers, who just did that not wholesale swap out, but they swapped out some key pieces. They got some big names coming to town. You got the Magic, who probably didn't even have to get out of the building. I mean, they just leave all their shit in the locker room and then roll on out to the hotel that night, right? So in terms of kind of being, I think, in that right spot here with the look ahead with the Clippers and Lakers here, I like the Magic. I like the points. I wouldn't be surprised to see the Magic win the game outright, because to your point, the guy's going to gas out. Like, they're not going to want to sit there in that second half and keep playing. I don't know. I mean, I guess we'll see how it plays out in the grand scheme of things, but I'm going to take the 6.5 points for me. That's an official play. I love the leans. You make these damn props sound so good, I might have to just get in there and whack them again myself. So I got that. I love the 3-point spots too. And I think that might even be, it sounds like it might be a little ladder opportunity to get up to 2.5 and maybe 3.5. If the guy's chucking up 8 a game,
Yeah, I mean, shouts to Mills, man. Shouts to Mills over there at Pick Dogs. He has his daily prop video. And as I was going through my daily fantasy projections, I was watching Mills's little video. And as I pulled up Franz Wagner's name, his name comes up on the screen. I was like, man, that's a sign I should definitely play. He's on the point prop. I like the 3-point prop, but I'm playing him in daily fantasy. It seems like a good under the radar Wagner spot, because if you look at it, a lot of the defensive attention is going to go to Paolo Pichero.
Yep.
Don't really like that matchup for him. The public's going to be on him. And if you really dig in deeper to it, the leading scorer for the Magic right now is Wagner, man. Wagner's getting the job done. Everybody's saying the Magic are going to backdoor cover on National Magic Day. Well, somebody's going to have to score a lot of points. And if it's not Pichero, it's going to be Wagner.
Right. Yeah, I'm going to take a deeper look at that ladder there and see if we can't find some fun in that thing as well. So, much appreciated, Billy. I got you down here, locked and loaded. The Wemby 15+ points, minus 155. The Gordon points and assists, over 18.5 at minus 125. You like the Spurs +7. Gave us the Markelle Fultz look under 21.5 points, rebounds, and assists at minus 125. Wagner over 1.5 threes at minus 175. I'll give you guys a flight on the card here as well. 7 o'clock on the dot here. LA Kings, I got the money line at +133. Drew Doughty goal is a lean for me. Nashville over 6 is a lean. The Roman Josi over 3.5 shots is official. I want both teams to score in the first period of that Nashville game at +174. I've got Philip Tomasino at +450. In the Major League Baseball, I took the Arizona Diamondbacks tonight, -110. I like Thomas, the RBI, and the home run spots We talked about those in college football. I got the Central Michigan plus 6.5. The over 46.5 is an official play for me in the Central Michigan game. Toledo under 49.5 is the latest number I saw out there. I also went with Buffalo first half plus 8.5. Those are two official plays. I lean that teaser plus 21 and the under 56. New York Knicks first half minus 1.5 for me. Suns, same game parlay minus 3.5. KD over 1-3. And Nurkic 8+ rebounds is a plus 135 spot. I locked on the card and closed the night out with the Orlando Magic plus 6.5. Billy B, shout out to our guy. I meant to ask him where everybody can find him. I know he's in and on and around everything going on with Pub Sports Radio. Guy gets on the live streams. He hosts a terrific UFC contest. If you guys haven't seen it before, you're living under a rock. There's a ton of things going on in the UFC. Pub Sports has the contest, free contest to enter every week on the website as well. So make sure you check that out. Follow our guy Billy Briz over there on X and Instagram and everything else that he's doing out there. Appreciate everybody dropping in here again. Over 100 tonight. We got there. Viper NB says, shout out to the gang. Joe Rich Ramirez got the first half Arizona money leg. Major League Baseball. Sean Fisher's got Trey Jones over 5.5 assists. Andrew K says, Wagner's solid. Sharon Pullian. Billy, while you're there, check his turnovers. Well, we'll have to take a look at that as well as a follow-up. Bonchero goes hard tonight, says the Sweaty Butcher. Kawhi over 1.5 turnovers. EQ says, last call, baby. You found us. Sharon was on Zubac rebounds. See if he goes. Wagner over turnovers also at 1.5. I like the turnover spot. I was looking at some of those earlier today, so appreciate you sharing those. Wine Time Sports. Sounds like everybody's going to be excited and have our eyes glued on this game tonight. The trick-or-treating goes away. The cocktails come out, and it's going to be a great opportunity tonight to enjoy some time in the association. I appreciate everybody stopping by tonight. Make sure you haven't already, then like the video. Like and retweet the Twitter promo that's out there as well, or on X, you can find me at PimpSlapPOD. Shout out to our guy T on the ones and twos, and of course, Pub Sports Radio. Appreciate everybody dropping by tonight, showing the support and the love. Means a ton for me to have you guys join me as we look at this card together. All we got to do now is get those bets in and then get our cocktails poured up and get ready to cash. Let's get that money tonight. Appreciate everybody shouting out here, dropping by. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Same time, same place, 6 p.m. Last call, baby. Shout out, Pub Sports Radio. Appreciate everybody. See you guys tomorrow.